Yes, here we are again, SCLC Today TV. I'm your host, Maynard Eaton. And of course, our president and CEO, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. Dr. Steele, you're just back from getting your second COVID-19 vaccination. Even said you're a little tired from the trip. But now the COVID-19 relief bill has been signed. You got your second shot. Is this the new bill, a shot in the arm for America, you think? $1.9 trillion?
I think it is. And what is confusing to some people, man, is that they're saying it's more than just a recovery. But in order to have a recovery, you have to cover the bases. And also being initiated by President Biden is the mobility of getting the vaccine to those in the rural communities and elderly. And when you say rural, you're even talking about in the urban communities like Chicago, Detroit, and other areas. People in the urbanized communities still have no way to get the vaccine or transportation to bring about the implementation. I like that. They're talking about getting the mobility aspect, whatever it takes, and money is set aside for that, But there are many people on the other side of their party, which means the Republicans, not one voted. You understand what I'm saying, man? Not one voted for this Recovery Act in terms of the coronavirus. Yet they're putting out press releases, hypocritically putting out press releases to their district saying, oh, you got some money coming for your small businesses. We're going to be able to save your restaurant. How hypocritical can you be?
Dr. Steele, again, I just mentioned you just got your second vaccination, you and your wife. But correct me if I'm wrong, I'm told or understand some 90% of African Americans have not yet been vaccinated. Do you urge them to do that? Do you urge them to do that now since you got your second one?
I urge them to do what I did. I prayed to the Lord. I did my research. I listened to the science. And I'm not like my good friend who I've never met, LeBron James, but who I admire, going to do his shot. If he get one, it's not going to be public. I think you need to, as Dr. King say, gather the information and bring about an opportunity for people to understand the knowledge of the science. The science is very important. Who worked through the science? So one person told me just the other day, I am not going to get that shot. I'm not going to get it. But they told me to put on my seatbelt. we was in the car. And I forgot to put on my seatbelt. And this person means well, but I said, why are you not going to get the shot? The Lord is going to protect me. Well, the Lord is going to protect all of his children if they're in good standings with him, but he ain't going to come and buckle my seatbelt. He ain't going to come and get that shot for you. You have to use your own judgment and the ability to think what is right to make it happen.
Dr. Steele, I'm going to charge you a little bit because rarely do you equivocate. You're not saying get it or don't get it. But that's rare for you. Your colleagues like Ambassador Andrew Young, the late Hank Aaron, they were in the forefront. They were showcased early on at Morehouse Medical School getting the shot. Other leaders have. You're saying it's up to you, the individual.
I'm saying you need to follow the facts. See, many times people don't understand in the process of the Kenyan philosophy, man. The first thing Dr. King will tell you is to gather the fact. I gather the fact for me. And what I'm saying, because many people are different. And I'm not forcefully telling people you should do it because God told me to tell you this. All I'm saying is that there are certain things as individuals that we have to follow the leadership with the facts. I got my shots. The second one today.
Let's talk about something else in that relief bill, which President Biden says the American Rescue Plan, help is here, is a direct quote. Help is also on the way to black farmers, or relief for black farmers. John Floyd, the National Black Farmers Association president, said this is a culmination of a 30-year fight for justice of black farmers. Senator Graham out of South Carolina called it reparations. What say you?
It's not reparation. It's what's owed from a bad check that has been marked as insufficient fund.
Well said.
It bounced for 30 years. The talk was there, but the money was not in the bank. It was marked insufficient fund by them not fulfilling the promise and being a steward of their word and of the Constitution, that we all should be given the respectability, given the right under the Constitution of the United States of America, that all God's children of the citizenry, it should not even be a black fund. It should be a fund for those who are less fortunate, poor people. It just happen to be people of color, to the citizenry of all. And this country has never done it. I have to commend President Biden, and I normally don't come out like this, but I have to commend him. I just don't do it because we have to always be the good cop at some point, but the bad cop at the other point, which means that, you have to force people to tell the truth. You have to force people to do what's right. Not to say
and
that
you play on both sides of the fence. You play on both sides of the fence.
That's right. You don't just go with one party versus another. You don't go with one cop versus another. You go with the good cop. And it's a bad cop versus the good cop. So, you got bad and good and everything. And you're absolutely correct, man. And I'm not saying all Democrats are right. I'm saying this president, both parties have their problems, but this president has stepped up to the plate and given us some hope. Not no help, some hope. Because hope will bring the help. You got to have hope before you have help.
Dr. Steele, black farms were part of my upbringing. Every summer I came from New Jersey to Wadesboro, North Carolina to work on my grandfather's farm, and all the kids in my family did. That was the summer rite of passage. Now I know you're from Alabama. We were black farms all around you, although you're your family's in the funeral business. But black farms were the lifeblood of the black family at one point, and they've suffered. So many black farms have been lost. That's a personal hurt for me. It's just a tragedy to me. For somebody to call it reparations, and as you said, it was a bounced check.
It was a bounced check, marked insufficient fund. And it's been like that for us for over 400 years. Let's just call it like it is. It's systemic racism. And I'm really disturbed on the fact that people won't call it what it is. And it's a virus. For any senator, I think you said, I didn't hear him, that Senator Lindsey Graham said this. Yeah. If he said that, then he's part of the problem. And it's systemic within this system. And it's called racism. And it's a silent killer, just like the coronavirus.
Speaking of a killer, right in your backyard, right around the corner from SCLC office is the Georgia State Capitol. The Georgia State legislature is in session. And the whole country is noticing now the voter repression laws that are being put forth. While Georgia led the country in turning the U.S. Senate Democratic with the election of John Ossoff and Senator Warnock, now it seems like they're trying to retreat. The whole country's watching. National news is talking about what's happening in the Georgia State Capitol. It's got to concern you too.
Absolutely. But what we need to realize, Mr. Eden, is that we can never rest on our laurels. And the fact being that when Section 4, listen to me carefully, and Section 5 was gutted in June 2013 from the 1965 Voter Rights Act, we went back to state rights. And that's where we are today. Until we restore the 1965 Voter Rights Act. I'm not talking about a new Voter Rights Act. I'm saying restoring what we had with expansion. Until we restore and deal with the preclearance of that act, well, these states cannot make those kind of adjustments and got a history of racism, a history of blocking the vote from black folks, a history of trying to continue the slave mentality that we've been under for over 400 years. Until we restore the 1965 Voter Rights Act with Section 4 and Section 5, you're going to have the ludicrous attempt to take us back to the plantation. And that's where we are. And many of our people don't want to hear that because that's where we are today. And we still applauded, in terms of the politics that we've been successful. No, you will never be successful when the oppressor still have the economics. And we are still dealing with that aspect of slavery, the economics.
Dr. Steele, can I end this on a personal note, if you will, our show today?
Yeah.
I'm a product of the black press as a journalist. Yes, I worked in TV, but the Atlanta Voice was where I learned about black folks and working in the black press, which is, as you well know, the black press, a major factor in the civil rights movement. Nobody else reported about the histrionics of Reverend Joseph Lowry and others in the early civil rights days. It was the black press who covered the civil rights travails. Today, it pains me to report a dynamic and talented young Atlanta journalist, Marshall Latimore, the editor-in-chief of the Atlanta Voice newspaper, suddenly and tragically died last night of an apparent heart attack. Latimore was a young and dynamic new leader of a new era, a burgeoning era of the black press. It's coming back digitally. It's finding its foot again. The black press is saying something meaningful again. To lose a young man like that is tragic. And I just remember him speaking to some of my journalism students just last year. And I know you respect and admire, coming from Alabama, the black press and the role it's played.
That's right. The Alabama Citizen newspaper, when I was coming up, I remember we were in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Every third Wednesday, Thursday, we'd look for that black newspaper, the Alabama Citizen newspaper in Tuscaloosa. Ultimately, it was moved because of the turmoil with Arthurine Luce at the University of Alabama. It was transitioned, I should say, down to Mobile, Alabama. But the point being, what you were saying, Mr. Eden, is very significant. And I hear this all the time, being in a position that I am as president of SCLC. Many times, not directing my comments to the young people, but to all people. We take life for granted. And this young man was on his way. And I'm pretty sure he did the best he could in terms of the healthiness of his body. But this is the temple, your body. Yeah. And I'm talking to all generations, and particularly young people, because the NBA All-Star game was in Atlanta, as you know, this weekend. So my wife and I were just riding around the city. We were riding. And I saw so many young folks not protecting their body, but the way they dress. The way they dress, and particularly the young ladies, no coat. And man, it was freezing out there. But it's all about fashion and style. What am I saying? I know this young man did the right thing. I don't know him. You told me about him. And it's a sad commentary. But I'm here to say nothing should be taken for granted. Every day, we should prepare ourselves for the transition by doing all we can in that given day to do what's right and to help the cause of elevating not just yourself, but those around you and ultimately the global society, the global community. We are in a global society, and don't take life for granted. And you talked about this young man being a lecturer in your class at Clark, Atlanta. He came and spoke to you, not knowing that he was going to make a transition because of his age. And all I'm saying, people like you, Mr. Eden, is to be given the accolades and the credits for inspiring young folks. I know how many young folks you bring out to Clark, and people need to know that you are a professor, instructor, lecturer at Clark Atlanta University, and you always include young folks. But I know you'll be the first to agree with me to say life is not guaranteed.
That's true.
And this young man, as great as he was, and you said he was the editor-in-chief.
Yes,
of the
top dog. Top dog. Yes.
Top dog. Young man. Late 20s, would you say late 20s?
Yes.
It's a story in that. Ladies and gentlemen, don't waste any time in doing what you can to fulfill and to realize what your purpose is in life. If you leave in 24 hours, you can say, that last 24 hours, I did the best I could. And that is good enough.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you doing that. Rest in peace, Marshall Latimore. Job well done. We'll see you on the other side. Keep telling your story in heaven, man. Good night, Dr. Steele.
Good night.